Welcome back. Today we're focusing on cattle markets and how they're shaping up for the industry in 2017. We've had a good conversation about the grain market and certainly talked about the depressed cattle markets that we've been experiencing. And I guess the one silver lining is that there was plenty of forage this last year and pretty cheap hay. What's your sense moving forward?
We're still in awfully good shape. Certainly with the rain event that's occurred in the far west, California should be much improved this year from what they've been for a number of years. And the balance of the country, not only do we have good subsoil moisture conditions, but we still have a lot of hay stocks on hand. So hay outlook should be pretty comfortable.
That's great. Let's talk about hedging and contracting strategies. What would you recommend producers consider as they think about managing their risk in 2017? Larry?
I talked previously, the biggest part of it has to have discipline, what I call as a hedge policy. You've got to define some things that force you to have triggers to make decisions. Profitability is one of the biggest ones, but the amount of times you can lock in a profit is less than 40% of the time the day you buy your cattle. So you've got to look at some other ways to manage that risk and identify them. And price risk is one of them, basis risk and opportunity is another one. So the key thing has to do is find someone that you can consult with, get some disciplines, and once you have a trigger, respond. Don't get caught up in the emotion of being either bullish or bearish. I have a lot of my guys selling into weakness and killing themselves, and turn when it's up and good profits like it's been now, they just fight it because they get a little bit too bullish.
Yeah. Kevin, you anything to add?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there as far as the mentality of the cattle feeder or cattlemen. We're always bullish at the highs and too bearish at the lows, and those are all good points. You know, from maybe a bigger picture cycle standpoint, after 2 years of a big drop, we're finally getting to a price level in here where the market should have a little less volatility, be a little more range bound as we go through 2017 and 18. Not that we won't continue to trend lower from a cycle standpoint, but the bulk of the down is already in. And with that being the case, especially as we think about the cow-calf and the stocker producer, another thing that we might have to take a hard look at is retained ownership. Some things that when we talked the last couple of years, a cow man was making so much money, it was a no-brainer to go ahead and sell those calves. Now, margins might be a little tight. It might be time to take a look at retaining ownership as we go over the next couple of years.
That's a great point. And Don, I'd point another question to you. You know, I've heard and read a lot about the futures market, people saying this thing's broke. What's your sense? What could be improved or should be improved relative to the futures market to make it a more attractive risk management tool again?
You've been holding out on the tough questions, Kevin. The contract has served the industry very well. I'm in no way going to go so far to say it is broken, but if you look at the transition of the industry to more formula sales, more carcass-oriented value determination, is it time to really take a hard look at the contract and make long-term objectives? Yeah, I believe it is.
Yeah.
Kevin, for 43 years I've been a futures broker, managing risk for producers. And one of the words that's really interesting that they tend to forget about is it's called futures. It's an anticipatory market, okay? So the producer who's so in tune to what the market cash is doing right now sees this futures market as doesn't realize it being an anticipatory market. So it'll lead the market down, it'll lead the market up. This shifts the basis, right? And this anticipatory market, which we call futures, is a good price discovery model. It led the market down to where it should have gone to realign retail margins, packer margins, and fed cattle prices, okay? We forget about that. We forget that we're comparing an anticipatory futures market to a actual cash, and we sometimes think, well, the futures isn't doing what I want it to do. It's never going to do what you want it to do, okay?
Yeah,
it's going to do what it perceives the cash is going to do, not necessarily what the cash is right now.
That's good guidance. Thank you, guys.